Work. All right.
There are multiple.
Okay, thank you. All right then.
Okay, click on that. Multiple okay. Okay, yes, oh, no, don't share anything. No,
Okay.
that's because Jessica's mic shares,
Okay,
so
perfect.
you can get out of that.
All
Okay. Well, hello, everybody. We can get started. Hi, Jess. Thanks for hanging in there, and Katie too. Sorry about that, we had some tech problems. I'm on the screen, my professional photo, but I'm actually in person here in Bethel. I wanted to make sure that it worked. So thank you for being here. We only have 4 commissioners out of 7 tonight. Jess, can you hear?
I can hear you just fine.
Okay, good. Can we make that louder? Because we can't hear. You can barely hear, right?
Yeah. Down bottom right,
Bottom right.
off the computer, right next to the time. Yep.
It
It
is
is
100%. Okay. Well, I guess I'll be screaming. Hey, Katie, how are you? I think there's nothing you can do there. Can't hear anything really. I could that well. I don't know if I can. There is. If I join audio on here, I'd be able to hear it better. But then I have feedback, right? From. Let me see. To hear others, please join audio.
Recording in progress.
Oh, no, that is just not gonna work. I'm gonna leave here. Okay, that's not gonna work. Okay, so we can get started. Sorry, a little kind of off a little bit because of all the tech issues we've been having here in this building. We do have to start our meeting with like a pledge of allegiance, so we're gonna do that. Our flag is
It's over
here on this side.
We moved it.
I guess so. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, so I'm gonna move this around a little bit because Jessica, I'm gonna introduce Jessica LeClaire from Sustainable Connecticut. She's agreed to be part of our meeting tonight to kind of give us a little overview of Sustainable Connecticut and how that works and how we can start our certification process, and maybe, you know, after her mini presentation, then we, you know, you guys can you'll have some questions, etc. So, Jess, the floor is yours. If you can scream, that would be great, because they don't really have speakers.
I turned it up.
Oh, you did turn it up. Okay, good.
Should I scream or is this volume?
You're good now. You're good now.
Ah, okay.
Want to.
All right, I'll share a screen. So I've got a little PowerPoint set up here, and well, you know, I'm not really sure where everybody's at in terms of understanding of the program. So it's a high level overview, and just know that we can dig into anything at all that you want to. We also can go on and look at the website together. Our website is really, it really is all encompassing. It has all of the things that you will ever need in one spot. So we can look at that as a resource too, if that's helpful. But feel free to ask any questions along the way, and we can keep this informal and just sort of move forward. Before I start though, I do want to thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here in your virtual space tonight to talk with you all and learn about Bethel a little bit more and how you might want to work through the program. So this seems like a lot, but I'm going to move quick. I'll just give you a quick overview of the program, walk you through some of the certification requirements, and then spend a bit of time talking about some technical supports that are available to you as a registered community. And then again, we can do questions at the end or throughout whenever you have them. Just shout loud because I can see you, but you all look very tiny on my screen, so I probably won't see a hand that's raised. So as you probably know, Sustainable CT is a statewide municipal certification program. Our goal is to help cities and towns across the state advance their overall sustainability. And we take a really broad look at that. So we're thinking about transportation, arts and culture, public health, housing, local economies, land and natural resources, really everything that makes a community whole. And at the core of our program, we have a menu of actions, which are essentially sustainability best practices. And that's where you'll probably spend the majority of your time, is looking through those actions and thinking about what is interesting to you. What do you want to work on? What have you worked on? What is maybe underway through other municipal processes or plans? And sort of pick through that menu, plan your meal, so to speak, to getting certified. And there's really no one size fits all way to navigate that menu. Every town approaches sustainable CT a little bit differently, and we've tried to keep our program requirements for certification as flexible as we can, knowing that in Bethel, you do things a Bethel way, and it's going to be different than how they do it in New Milford, and how, you know, people work in Westport and Hartford and Bridgeport and everywhere in between. We do have different resources available to you, including free technical assistance and funding, and I'll talk a bit more about those, but we really want to help you along your journey. So you'll define what success looks like. You'll say, I want to be bronze certified by April, or I want to be silver certified by August, or I want to just work on actions that are interesting as a commission, and that's fine too. So you define success, and just know that we always have your back. We're always here if you have questions, if there's something you need. If we offer it, we'll link you up with it, and if we don't, we'll try to figure out how we can make it happen. And this is a certification program, so each year we do make awards at the Connecticut Conference of Municipalities annual convention. It's usually very fun, very exciting to have all of the mayors and first selectmen walk across the stage and get awards. We've also now started to have our own private award ceremony just as a program, and those are it's just a great time to connect and be with the network of like-minded individuals across the state who are working to build community. So I mentioned the program is made up of actions. Each one of the actions falls within one of these 12 different categories. And I'm showing you this so you can see the breadth again. So housing, health and wellness, planning, transportation, materials management, homelessness prevention, equity. We're really thinking about all of the elements that make a community a place where people want to live, work, and play. So each one of these categories has actions, and each action has sub-actions. So there's sort of some layers here, but there are hundreds of ways you can move through the program. There's like 70 actions and hundreds of sub-actions, and you have a lot of flexibility to pick and choose what works for you. I'm saying actions a lot. Here are just a couple examples of some types of actions. Again, knowing that there are many, many, many types of actions. Could be watershed protection programs, arts and culture initiatives, agriculture friendly practices. Maybe you're reducing energy use across municipal buildings. Maybe you have a healthy and sustainable food network in town, or you're composting, or you have a housing needs assessment, or you're growing affordable housing. So really many, many options. I will say, because the menu is so large, sometimes it can be overwhelming at first glance. But really, again, that's our intent, to provide flexibility to make sure that there's something of interest to your community, knowing that all communities are interested in somewhat different things. Additionally, each action was designed to have a ladder of opportunity. So if it's something that maybe you haven't started yet, but it's of interest in Bethel, we've tried to put that first rung. So this will be the first step. Maybe it's get educated on whatever that thing is. And then maybe there's the next step of, doing the thing. So we've tried to build in these steps. So wherever you're coming at that particular activity from, there's a next rung already there for you. We launched Sustainable CT in November of 2018, and at present we have 131 towns who are participating. So you are among many, which is really exciting. There's a big network of communities across the state who are actively working on the program. Right now we have 59 towns that are currently certified. Certification does last 3 years. So we have had towns move through that process and get recertified or hit the pause button. There were some things going on recently, like the global pandemic, that sort of shifted some focuses, which is absolutely fine. But those 59 towns have done some amazing work. They've completed more than 3,000 actions. So just a lot of information, a lot of content, a lot of really great work that's happened across the state. That fourth bullet down is all about our community match fund. And I'll talk a bit more about that. But essentially, almost $3 million has gone out the door to support community-led projects. So this might be another area of interest for your commission. I'll talk about the community match fund at the end, but it's a one-to-one matching program for anyone in a registered town who has a project that aligns directly or indirectly with one of our 70+ actions. So it could be something that's of interest to your commission to sort of get some momentum and excitement, or maybe you want to have our community match fund manager come out and talk to individuals in town and see if you can get a bunch of projects going up and around Bethel. So I just want to share the certification requirements, and I'm not going to get too far into the weeds here, but we do have 3 levels of certification: bronze, silver, and gold. Gold is our newest level. We just launched it this year. So we're testing it out, and we always want feedback from towns. So as you're moving through the program, if anything is confusing, let us know. If you do something a certain Bethel way and it's not quite how our action has it listed, let us know. We want to try to understand the different ways towns are navigating the program. It's likely that we'll update the action to make it more flexible for future towns to work through. I'm going to talk mostly about bronze. I'm going to focus in on bronze, not wanting to hold you back. So if silver or gold are your goals, we can dig into that, but just want to help you understand the bronze requirements at first glance. And what we do ask is that towns complete at least one action in each of the 12 categories that I showed you. So we are looking for that breadth of sustainability work. And by one action, I just mean a 5-point thing. So in many cases, it could be something as simple as participating in a webinar training on a certain topic. So hopefully that is attainable. But it's sort of like the liberal arts education aspect of our certification program. And then we ask you to do one action, one required action, and that's action 1.1, optimize for equity. And in this action, we're asking you to follow the steps laid out in an equity toolkit to intentionally include and co-create any other action in the program. And that could be a little bit confusing, but basically we're asking for you to identify who's not usually at the table when decisions are happening at the local level, connect with those folks, and work on any other action with them rather than for them. So we've had towns engage with youth and do lots of youth outreach and really get the youth voice, and design, say, an arts and culture program for youth by youth so that it really represented what young people in town wanted. So it wasn't adults saying, I think young people want, pottery. It was young people saying, you know what, we want, I'm making something up, and it's 7:30 p.m. So what might they want? Graphic design. I don't know, whatever it is they want, but they're given that opportunity to share and co-create what that outcome might be. We can talk more about that, and we do have equity coaches on our team who can help with those conversations if you're hoping to move forward with that. And then for bronze, we ask that you do whatever other actions you want to do to get to 200 points. So this is the sort of the starter level. We've heard from towns, it's a great way to see where you're at as a community. You've probably done a lot of work in town that will yield points that will count towards bronze, silver as well, and gold, but we'll get into those if you want to spend time on it. But I don't want to get too much into the weeds, as I said, this late in the evening, unless you do want to. Just a quick highlight on the gold level. You can see here it's got more requirements than bronze or silver, which is obvious. But we are looking for you to go deeper on equity, to lead on climate, and then also to collaborate with other municipalities on other sustainability actions. So just want to touch on these things as you're thinking about what might feel right in town. This is a little in the weeds here. So we do give credit for past action, and what we say is the year that you're seeking certification. So let's say, for instance, you wanted to get certified by our fall certification deadline this year, so 2023. We would say you look back 3 years from the year you're seeking certification. So that would be January 1, 2020. So anything that you've done between January 1, 2020 and the certification deadline in August of 2023, perfect. That counts as new credit. You've done it. It's new. Anything that's older, so let's say you did it in 2018 or 2019, possibly still counts for points as long as it meets the action requirements. And if it's eligible for rolling credit, that's how it might be still eligible. So hopefully that's not confusing. We'll say it's eligible for new and or rolling credit. If it's eligible for rolling and it occurred prior to January 1, 2020, then we might have something there. You can also work with partners, and we recognize that towns have partnerships with all sorts of entities. It could be with your land trust, it could be with your COG, with a health district or other groups in town that are doing critical roles for the town. And there's some sort of partnership. Maybe the town, gives that group space to meet at no cost, or if there's an event that's being held in town, the town maybe is not sponsoring it, but is doing all of the trash and recycling pickup or other. As long as the town has some role in that partnership, they don't need to be doing the work to get that credit, because all of these things are building your community and making it a strong place to live. So just a bit on some of the supports that are available to you. We have equity coaches on our team right now who can assist you with any of our equity actions. Or if you want to talk about something that's happened in town that doesn't relate to our program, maybe something's come up that it would be helpful to talk with an equity coach. They are available to work with you at no cost. We offer different workshops and trainings throughout the year on many different kinds of topics, typically based on what we're hearing from towns. What are some question areas? Some examples of things coming up. We have someone from Bike Friendly America coming out next week, coming out via webinar to talk about how to become a bike-friendly community. We have someone from the National Soul Smart organization coming out to talk about the Soul Smart program and streamlining solar permitting for small solar development. We are working with CIRCA, the Connecticut Institute for Climate and Resilience, CIRCA, Connecticut Institute for Resilience and Climate Adaptation, there you go, coming out to speak about their climate vulnerability heat index tool that they've got. So it varies, it's diverse, and it usually relates to the different actions in the program. And we have a calendar that we continually update with workshops. And if we're not putting them on, but they are still relevant to our actions or sustainability at large, we update that with other events. So let's say Nature Conservancy or Connecticut Green Bank or others are hosting events. We try to put it all onto one calendar. So that could be helpful if you're thinking about areas of interest and you want to explore a bit more. We also work with many different kinds of partners. You can see some on the slide here. And these partners offer programming in alignment with the actions at no cost to towns. So these would be essentially free consulting opportunities for you. An example, we work with the Nature Conservancy and they run community resilience building workshops in towns. These sessions are really amazing and they will help you assess your climate vulnerabilities and identify your strengths as a community and lay the groundwork for the start of a resilience plan. We also work with a group out of Yukon called Smart Building CT. They can help towns with their energy benchmarking, energy tracking, building audits, figuring out if you have buildings close to Energy Star certification. We can get you free engineering reviews done on those buildings so you can get credit for those actions. And we have a whole page dedicated to no cost assistance where we lay out some of these opportunities. Again, you can do any of these things, work with any of our coaches or any of our resources, whether or not you're certified, whether or not you intend to get certified. If you just want to be doing the work, we're happy to help. The last thing up here, we have a fellowship program. Each summer we have fellows out at the various councils of governments providing direct support to the towns registered within the region. And these fellows, they are really awesome. Every year we are just so lucky with the students that participate. They can help you figure out where you have points scored. They can help with some of the data uploading. So we do have documentation required for your submissions. They can help with that. They can do GIS work. We've had two fellows 2 years ago in 2020. They helped the town design the sustainability summer camp. They actually designed the whole summer camp down to the minute of the day of each week. And they came back the next summer and ran the summer camp, not as a part of our fellowship program, but they just continued that project on. So really just inspiring work that they're doing. And they're usually very enthusiastic and energetic. And we hope that towns can keep them very busy because 40 hours for a young person is a lot to fill up in 1 week. And they're usually with us from June until mid-August. So last but not least, just a quick update on the Community Match Fund. I mentioned this earlier. So you are all eligible for this Community Match Fund. Anyone in town, the town, your commission, your neighbors who have no affiliation with either are eligible as long as they have a project that aligns directly or indirectly with one of our 70+ actions and that has a public good and no private gain. It's a 1-to-1 match. We'll match up to $7,500 per project, though there's more funding available if the project has a climate benefit. And this number is actually a little outdated. It says 2.8 million. It's actually 2.9 million invested since 2019. And I should have updated my slide. I apologize. We've had more than 240 projects out around the state. So it could be, there's just so many different options. It could be a pollinator pathway garden, a community garden. It could be an EV charger. We've had people use the funds to buy, I think, an EV, an actual electric vehicle. We've had them used for art programming or festivals, zero waste fairs. There's so many things, murals. The sky is the limit and the projects are up. You can go out and see them now. We really want this to be very easy and to have these projects not be, sometimes a 10-year-long project. You had the idea, you raised a bunch of money in a month, and then you started to work on your project. So that's the goal, that these things are up and done and people can be out and enjoying them. So that's it. That was a lot. I'll stop my share. And if anyone has any, I'm happy to take them.
Before we get started, I just want to introduce our new first selectman, Dan Carter. He's in the corner over here. I don't know if you see him. So thank you, Jessica. That was just, I have a few questions. How about anybody else?
I have a couple.
Oh, go ahead, Peter.
Jess, you made at least 2 references to whether you choose to be certified or not.
Yep.
I'm very unclear about certification. What does it really mean, the 3 levels? And are we talking about the funding that's available if you're certified as opposed to not certified? Are we talking about the kind of assistance you can give someone gold as opposed to someone bronze? I've never really understood what that certification is and why the points are important. Why, for example, we couldn't just operate on our own in Bethel, and if we need to partner with Reading or Richfield, we do that. Are you
Oh, you absolutely can.
Are you funded by the legislature? Is this, I'm not sure I understand what the organization is statewide. Is this a private organization where you go to the state for funding and they give it to you and then you dole it out to the individual towns?
Mm-hmm.
Can you be a little clearer about how all that works?
Sure, absolutely. So we are a privately funded nonprofit organization. We're funded primarily by philanthropic organizations. So it's not your tax dollars that we're cycling through, and different funders fund different portions of the program. Some might be general, like my time for being here tonight might be more of the general operations versus some funding that might be earmarked for the Community Match Fund. I can talk more about who our funders are if you're interested.
I just was curious as to whether it was a state organization or it says Sustainable Connecticut and so forth. I understand that. What is the advantage of being certified?
That's a great question. So essentially, if you want to be certified, if you want that award, if you want the recognition, you want to brand yourself as a sustainable community, that's the value. The value is the value to you. It's a way to market yourself as a community that cares about these issues and is active on them. and that might be helpful. It might be in line with who you are as a community and who you want to be. We have heard some communities say, you know, these are things that we're doing and we should get credit for it. We've heard other communities say, we're doing these things and we could do a little bit more, and our peers are certified and we're not. So how does that look when people are considering where to live or where a business might start up? So, you know, those are potentially benefits of the certification. But it is up to you. You join the program with no obligation to get certified. We are here for you, and you define what success looks like in the program.
Well, if
You have access to all of the resources
that's my
as a
question.
registered
Just
community.
anticipated my next question, which was,
Yep.
if for some reason we were to choose not to go for certification, we would still have access to your resources?
Yep. Yep. You know, certification it's another positive outcome.
Right.
But
It's
the
not
work is really important. So reducing your energy use, stopping climate change, providing opportunities for people to live in town with affordable housing, supporting your local businesses. So if you wanted to use the resources, work on action, you know, just use them as a guide or not, you have access to those as a registered community. You have complete access to our community match fund as well.
I see.
So along the same lines as Peter's asking about that, having the certification, does that give credibility or is that a benefit if the town wants to apply for a state grant? Does that, like, does that help with that, or does it matter?
So that is up to the state agency, whoever's doling out the funding. I will note that towns that are certified seem to pop up often on those award lists, and the work that you're doing might put you in good shape for those grant applications. Especially, it seems like they come up and then all of a sudden they're due in like a month. So you see this really huge grant and it's great and it's due in a week. So having the groundwork laid, knowing where all of your brownfields are, or knowing what sort of businesses you have in town, or knowing your open space, where all of your open space is, that would likely put you in better shape for applying for the grant funds that that come up. And there's lots of money coming up from the federal government that we're trying to understand, but it seems like that's a big sort of black hole of potential information. But when that comes, it's going to be fast and furious. And to have a sense of where you're at and where you want to go, I think would really set you up to be well positioned for those funding opportunities.
Peter, did you have something else?
No, I think you've enlightened us very much, because we really were kind of in the dark as to what, when I joined the commission, I had never heard of Sustainable Connecticut.
Mm-hmm.
So it was new to me right off the bat. People started to talk about Sustainable Connecticut, and I thought, well, we're calling ourselves Sustainable Bethel. And then they said, well, we're under the aegis, theoretically, of a state group, and I didn't know what that state group really meant. I'm finding that when I meet people around town, I tend to talk to people. I'm retired now. So I ask them about this, do they know? And at this point, very few people in Bethel seem to have an idea. Although when I tell them, and they're also confused about the word sustainability. To them, it means immediately energy and things like that. When I tell them, no, I'm thinking about things like bringing cultural events, using the library, preschool activities. Everybody's very positive about that. Mm-hmm. But as far as it being a state-run situation, they're totally confused, as I was, as to whether this was the state, whether it was a private organization. You've made that very clear now. So I think, you know, you're doing a wonderful job, don't get me wrong. I'm not convinced myself as one commissioner, and it's not my decision, that we need to certify necessarily. It certainly couldn't hurt, and if our activities are going to certify us anyway, of course, But I'm not sure that that's an essential part of our work here in Bethel. But obviously, we'll discuss this.
Thank you. Peter, next Peter Square.
We have another Peter, by the way.
Hi,
Not hearing
Peters.
double, not hearing double, so.
Katie, do you have anything to add? No? Okay. Yeah, kind of, sort of. Well, all right, so I have I do have one question. The Live Green group, they are partners with Sustainable Connecticut, correct?
I would say loosely. We're
Yeah.
aware of their work, and they offer some trainings that definitely qualify for points under our program. So there's so many organizations that are doing really amazing work across the state. We try to find each other, talk to each other, and figure out how we can collaborate and connect.
Okay, well, that's good to know. That's the way they promote their webinars,
Mhm.
and that they are partners with Sustainable Connecticut, and then there are,
Yep.
I just wanted to confirm that. The other, as it relates to the match, the up to the $7,500, the match does that come from the municipality, or those are fundraising dollars?
Oh, I should have mentioned that. My apologies. So we use a partner with a program called Patronicity, and it's sort of like a Kickstarter or a GoFundMe campaign where you have small dollar donations. So it could be $5, $10, $50 from community members who want to see that project happen in their neighborhoods. So we can help you with the fundraising. So Patronicity, it's their bread and butter, and they will help you figure out how to run a campaign successfully. And I will say, when we first were thinking about how to give funding to towns to do these types of projects, personally on the team, I was the skeptical one, thinking, can't we just give the towns the money? And why do they have to match the money? But, since 2019, September of 2019, when we rolled out the community match fund, so there was a period of people understanding the program, and then it was pandemic forever since then. That's when almost $3 million has gone out the door. So people are excited about the projects and feel a sense of ownership by giving $10, $15, whatever they can afford or want to contribute. They feel that pride, that ownership. And it's really making the program a lot stronger and the projects a lot stronger, and kind of building a sense of community within the project that's funded in of itself. So it's really cool to see. And a lot of, most of the projects, I think maybe all of them, are hitting those targets or exceeding their targets for fundraising. So it's really cool. A really great thing. So I'm eating crow. The matching program has been working, and it's just a wonderful way to bring people in and help them be a part of it. So maybe they don't have time to be on the commission, but they can give $50 to support the community garden and kind of feel good about that. And every time they drive by or walk by the community garden, say, you know what, that's, I'm a part of that. And that's really powerful.
Another question. So related to the equity toolkit, let's say accomplishing that, completing that, would that cover, could that be the umbrella for some of the action items? So, I don't know, for instance, like if someone wants to do an Earth Day event, which is coming up on 22nd, right? And so that would be, let me just back up a little bit. Our commission, we're not really resource, we're here more for support, advocacy and advice, and trying to bring all of these groups together that are doing so much in Bethel. And there is overlap. So it's more of a partnership and a stakeholder type of system right now. So related to the equity toolkit, which is more than integrating and bringing people in and having public input and doing the outreach for those areas or people that don't normally participate. So doing like an Earth Day event, again, something that we've been talking about here, would that qualify as bringing people together and having those different partnerships, and then also qualify for points in some of those different action items, because now you're bringing in all these like,
Mhm.
go to bed and, you know, that kind of thing.
So yes, so the equity toolkit, you get points for doing the equity process under action 1.1, and then you're applying it to another action within the program. So the Earth Day event would fall under action 8.1, which is hold a sustainability event. So you would get points there as well. And events are sometimes on the trickier side for equity toolkit application, but the Wilton Go Green Fair, they applied their equity toolkit to the creation of an iteration of the fair because they've had that for many years. And we have, I should have mentioned this, and if I had gone through the website, you would have seen, for all of the certified towns, everything that they included in their certification that was successful is up. There's a certification report. So we've got, 3,000 examples of successful actions on our website that towns can use, and I use all the time to give examples to others who are wondering how to do such and such a thing. So for your Earth Day event, if you have one coming up, this would be the time to start thinking about who lives in town, who's not usually in the planning processes, and connect with those folks and figure out how to make that Earth Day event really reflective of their needs. So it's really bringing their voice to the creation of the event. I could postulate on what the outcomes could be, but I won't, because it's really whatever they say. It could be that I always use the hot dog example, that they want to have hot dogs on every corner of the Earth Day event, or I don't even know. It could be anything. It's really whatever reflects their interests and opportunities to improve their experience at such an event.
Okay, Bill, hi, haven't seen you in a while. You're on mute.
Yeah. Hi, how are you?
How are you feeling?
Feeling much better, thank you.
Okay, did
Getting
you
there.
have
Happy?
anything to say?
I'm just thinking, when you talk about Earth Day, years ago, I was the chairman of the Housing Authority when we built the second addition to Reynolds Ridge. And the Earth Day, on Earth Day, we had a tree planting ceremony. Is that something that, that at the town building, their town facility, that would Earth Day type thing, is to have a tree planting ceremony and plant trees?
So the tree planting ceremony itself, if part of the event, I would say you could bundle that into your event submission for 8.1, and you can include many events. So if the ceremony happened separate to your Earth Day festival, or however it takes shape, maybe that's 2 events. If you have a tree planting program, so maybe more than just one ceremony, but if that's part of a broader program in town, then I would look at action 3.9, which is, it's manage wildlands, forest and urban wild forest. I'm blanking on the title. You're catching me at a weak point in my evening right now. It's been a long but good day. But action 3.9 is all about managing forests and having urban or wild forest considerations and different programs on that. And I can share any of this information if you'd like to understand what's in those actions a bit more. I can pull them up on the website, or let you know how to find them later on.
I think he's frozen.
Yeah, he's frozen. I was
Oh.
waiting for him to comment.
Oh, Bill got frozen. I don't even know if I have his cell phone here.
I'll ask one question, Madam Chair. Jess, how many times have you given this presentation today?
How many times have you seen it?
This is my second.
I've only done it 2 times today, and you're 100% repeat offender, repeat visitor.
Well, sometimes I'm slow in the uptake, so I'm glad I saw it twice. And it was a great job.
You has got more details. I had a little more time.
I saw some more details in here, and I really appreciate it. And I'm hoping to work with the commission here to make some of this come through.
Awesome. Thanks so much, and congratulations on your new, really exciting.
Thank you.
She's ready to. Does anybody else have anything else?
No,
So-
that helped.
Okay,
But I do think we And we'll proceed with the idea that we may or may not certify.
Sure, yeah. I mean, at this point,
We already have some things planned, right?
I don't know.
I'm
That's
working with
something we
the-
need to talk about.
Well, I've got the library ready to go for things. And I'm also thinking of hooking them up with the schools. Interesting thing, when I had my discussion with the library, they do not want to charge for any events that are held at the library. They're having an art exhibit there. Dan, I don't know if you know that they're gonna have an art exhibit.
Can I just say?
Yeah, I'm
Jessica,
sorry.
it's up to you if you want to stay.
Oh, I didn't know,
Yeah, no,
I'm sorry,
I
Jack.
just,
I didn't know
didn't
she
want
was
to
still
keep
with
her
us.
another half hour or whatever. So it's
If
up-
you're good, I will leave for dinner, but I just want to say to the group and to the first selectman, your town is probably done a lot of good work, and it's possible that the staff in Bethel might be aware of more of the work or have the record of it, which is what we're seeking in the submission requirements. So it could be that a dual, oh gosh, I really am struggling tonight, but like a dual attempt. So I could give this presentation a third time to the staff or maybe not, or just let them run through the actions and let them see if anything's coming up. Have you done any sidewalk projects in the past 3 years? Do you have a community garden? Do you have any pollinator pathways? Do you have any, how's your affordable plan housing implementation going? Other, things that are probably in line with what's happening in town or is planned to be happening. And then maybe with that information, you might see that certification is well within reach, or perhaps you're already there. Because I can only imagine there's a lot of amazing things happening in Bethel.
There are and there have been, and there's not only the internal staff team, they've done an amazing job, but also there are a lot of organizations in Bethel that also do a lot. So it's a matter of pulling all of those verticals together, and applying for the certification or promoting all the great stuff that Bethel has
Mhm.
done and are doing. So you are
And
correct.
to the question about why get certified, I think that towns do so much work and get very little credit. Usually people come out of town when the snow didn't get plowed, or I don't know, the bus didn't show up or the trash pickup was late, but there's so many things that happen behind the scenes in a community that through the certification process, while it can be a lot in terms of documentation, it's really hitting that pause button and showing even to different departments in town, like, wow, we do a lot, and it can be a resource to showcase to your residents, like, yeah, we do a lot. We should be proud to live here, and we've done a lot. We've got a lot of good stuff planned coming up, and join in the momentum and be part of this cause. So in terms of process, know that if you want, the fellows, we'll be hiring them soon. They'll be finishing out their spring semesters, but when they start up in June, if you want to work closely with them to sort of get the documentation stuff figured out, if that's sort of less interesting to the commission, they can be a resource to help with that.
If the commission decides to go down the certification road, that would be extremely helpful, because we're all working volunteers.
Yep.
We need a few more bodies, and I know our first selectman is gonna be priority for him to make this happen. So that component of it would be very helpful. I did meet with 2 of your fellows last year when we were going through this. And it was more of an overview, they got into a little more detail than what you did here. So that was helpful to me, but it was only me. So yeah, those components that need more technical skills and administrative, that would be great if we can get assigned someone or someone's to help with that if the commission decides to go down this road.
Well, when they start, our first assignment to them is to reach out to all the registered towns. And if at that point in time you're ready and you're interested in connecting with them, please do. And if they don't reach out to you, let me know and I'll have them reach out. So yeah, we do want to keep them engaged, if there is work to be done.
And they work June through August, right?
Yep, during their summer break.
Okay, that'd be great. Awesome. Is there anything else that anybody has? No? Okay, it's up to you, Jessica, if you wanna hang out with us or, go have your dinner.
I'm gonna go have dinner if that's okay, but please
Yeah.
reach out with any questions. Consider my phone I'm an open door. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, whatever, let me know at any time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right,
Thank
this
you
is
very
very
much.
helpful.
All right, have a great night, everyone.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
bye. Before we get started, did you want to say anything to the group or?
Well, I'm happy to be here. I'm sorry I was late.
He's ready for dinner too.
Well,
I did not get dinner
I have
either.
something to say.
Oh.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. So I had the opportunity to actually sit through this presentation earlier with part of Westcog.
Okay, great.
And so it was a great opportunity. My initial thoughts are, it could be great. I mean, the commission has to get together and decide where you want to go with respect to certification, but there's definitely opportunities through the grant, their matching program, maybe to partner with organizations in town, do a little fundraising, do a little, we got the garden club, we got the scouts, we got all these bodies in town who might be excited to do something. And if certification is what they're pushing for, maybe it's a carrot. I don't know. But that's something we can certainly talk about. And I want to do what I can to make resources available for the commission and help you recruit or whatever I can do to make your life easier.
Yeah, we definitely need more bodies, right? Because
Understood.
we're down, we lost a total of 6, so there were 7 voting members, 3 alternates, and in the last week it was 3. So we definitely need more bodies to, work together with the community to make things happen. And I know the town, like all municipalities have a process to get that done, so that would be really helpful. Anybody else have anything related to, before we get started with the regular agenda? No. Okay, so I do want to have, I need a motion to approve the minutes. That we definitely have to do.
I'll make a motion.
Okay,
I'll
anybody want to
second.
second it? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, I do have chairman reports, my report, so you know that I normally do every month, right? And then we can get into your commission reports, because I know Katie's been meeting with a whole bunch of people, and so is Peter Schwartz. So like I said, we did lose 3 people in the last week for different reasons. We talked about our vacancies. I still have not heard back from the town attorney or town clerk about the bylaws. So we did approve them. We can just continue to operate or do business as we decided and see what comments come back with that. Katie and I attended the Housatonic Resource Recovery Authority meeting related to recycling on February 9th. And it was actually really interesting, right, Katie? There, like a lot of all the towns in the Housatonic area were represented, and they talked about what they were doing with recycling, household hazardous waste, Earth Day, and different types of sustainable initiatives that they have going on. They did spend some time talking about Earth Day, and that's why I brought that up. And Katie, you can talk about that later. I did meet with Pat Rist from the Historic Society. She's the chairman of the Historic Society, and she's been doing a lot with the town of Bethel for I think over 35 years, but she was very excited that Sustainable Bethel Commission is including historic preservation as part of under the sustainable umbrella, and she will help with whatever we need, whether it be certification or whatever partnering we have. Peter Schwartz did meet with the library, and we'll get to that during the commissioner reports, and you can, report out.
It's not a lot, but
Yeah, but it was your thing, so that's, it's up to you how you wanna do that. Just real quick, the Sustainable Connecticut does have a webinar related to creating cultural districts. I am gonna join that, and it's quite the process to create a cultural district, but I thought it'd be kind of interesting to see, just for the information component of it. There might be things that maybe we can't do a full-blown cultural district, because that would require a whole, like, zoning or policy change or whatever, but there might be components of it that we can use in whatever we're doing here. Katie also met with the Bethel Garden Club, so she'll talk about that. I'm guessing related to pollinator pathways and everything they're doing, so there's a lot going on there. Live Green, like we had mentioned just earlier, they do have some type of collaborative relationship with Sustainable Connecticut. I did they do have this EV zoning regulation training, and I thought that was interesting, so I did participate in the first module. I received a certificate, which if we go down, wherever I put it, if we go down the road of the certification, it can be used for points. Janice C, who is the Director of Economic Development here, she also attended. So it kind of looks like this, like, you know, the regular certifications, which is kind of cool. And there's like 4 more modules, and it's also another educational thing that I thought was very interesting. I sent you, this was something that I thought was important for the commission, because when we were larger and even now, many of the commissioners are from the private sector. So when you're in municipal government, there's this thing called FOIA, Freedom of Information, and whatever, it's not only municipal government, but it's all levels of government, we have to comply with that. And the city of Newark had done a workshop for their legislative body, the Common Council. I listened to it, one of their corporation councils gave the webinar. And while some of it was leaning towards Norwalk, but most of it was related to what the rules are. And I thought that was really important for us to understand that, because we have to comply with the FOI rules. So if you get a chance to look at that, it might be helpful. And that's what I have. Any questions about my report?
No.
Well done.
Okay. Great, and Jessica already gave her thing. I'm not gonna go by the strategic plan. So, Katie, did you wanna let everybody know your meetings with all of these people this month? And what we think we wanna do?
Sure. So, I don't know where to begin. I've been trying to meet with Bethel Land Trust, but I haven't yet gotten a meeting set up with them. So working on that. But I did meet with Krista from the Garden Club and found out a lot of interesting things that they're already doing with putting natives into the gardens that they maintain around town. I can't remember how many, I don't seem to have written it down. I can't remember how many gardens they maintain around town. But that will definitely help us. And I let her know kind of the items that we can submit for what the pollinator pathway section that I'm taking charge of. And she seemed interested in all of them. The first 2, let me just pull it up because I can't remember my objectives. So the first one is to provide education to residents and local businesses, and a lot of that is going to be done or has been done. There's a garden library series that's going to be started next month, I think. And then the second objective is to create native pollinator gardens or upgrade existing gardens. Like I said, that seems like they're already kind of making way on that. So I'll just keep in touch with them and see however I can help. And then the last item with a whopping 20 points is to pass a native pollinator friendly community resolution. So my plan is to join their meeting that they have next and create our bond, I guess. And
So wait, I like that one. So working with them is to create a resolution related to for the town to become a pollinator. Do you want to explain that a little bit? What that?
You create a resolution that states our municipality's intention to protect pollinator pathways. So yeah, around kind of including native plants and tree species in town properties. There are a whole list of items on the website to
Okay.
include in that.
Madam Chair, may I ask a
Yeah,
question?
yeah, absolutely.
Katie, has the garden club, shown some interest in doing that?
Yeah, well, I only met with Krista, who I think is the chair. She's a chair. I only met with her, but she seemed very interested, and like I said, I'll meet with all of them on their first meeting. I haven't heard when their next meeting is going to be yet, but hopefully I can join.
Great, and just, obviously, Madam Chair, keep me in the loop.
Oh,
When
yes.
she reports back, because
It's a
that would
big
be,
deal. Yeah.
that would be something that we at the
Okay.
selectmen board of selectmen could do. So, thank you.
Oh, and then we had this idea of doing, participating in Earth Day, right? I mean, I loved your idea, but it was, well, I called it a neighborhood cleanup, but you called it a Trashapalooza, which I thought was really cool, You want.
So in previous years, the JD and Sean Chang had, JD is on the Bethel Land Trust. They started Trashapalooza actually in 2021. And then last year, Bethel Land Trust took it over on Earth Day. But I know there was an Earth Day celebration in 2019. And then COVID hit and there hasn't been another event for it since then. I don't know who originally planned the 2019 event or if they're still going to keep planning future events. So I've just emailed Eileen from Parks and Rec to see if she knows who first hosted the event or organized it, so that hopefully we can team up. But if no one's doing it, then maybe it's an event that we plan. I don't know. I have a lot of great ideas, but it is a lot of work. So.
Yeah, that's why we need bodies and the partners, right? So I like the idea of the Trashapalooza or neighborhood cleanup. It does require some work because it's kind of like what neighborhoods, right? You gotta recruit everybody, you gotta get all the stuff, and but I think if BLT has done this, and ask Eileen, but I'm thinking also maybe wrap in the Board of Ed, if that's possible, if that's something that they do. Maybe some kind of after school program, I don't know. But it's coming up soon. It's April 22nd. We're already kind of at the end of February. So we would have to have this sort of planned in the next month and a half. But let's keep going, because it's already something that can happen because they already do it or have done it, and then we can make a decision.
Right. Even if it's just the Trashapalooza, I would like to have more to it, but it doesn't have to be this year. It could be something that builds. Even if it's just Trashapalooza, we can help Bethel Land Trust with that. And then in the future, add on more to it to create more of an event. I think that would be awesome. And you probably remember, Catherine, from the HRRA meeting, that they talked about the, what's it called? The having quarterly, what did they call it? A repair cafe quarterly.
Oh, I love that repair cafe.
Yeah, so businesses from around town can come to one location and they can help you assess an issue you have. Like if you have an issue with your bike or your computer, they can help you assess it. And if it's a small thing like tuning up your brakes on your bike, maybe they do it right there. But if it's something larger, they can give you their card so that you can go to them and patron their business. So I think that's a great way to bring in local businesses, and Earth Day is one event that could happen at. And there's another event. Well, I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but there might be another event happening in the summertime in the future that the Repair Cafe could happen at too, which would be another helping with the quarterly idea.
I like the idea because it not only, brought the community together, but it also helped the small businesses, and there was a way to promote small businesses in Bethel. So if it can't happen like on Earth Day, because obviously we may run out of time, it's something we should definitely think about, because it really does all that, public outreach. and bringing the community together, and helping a lot of different people in different ways. So I'd like to, look more into the Repair Cafe. And Wilton already does it, so, we don't have to reinvent the wheel. Is there anything else? I think that,
Not really. Like I said, I have a lot of ideas for the Earth Day, which I can put down on paper and send it or put down on the computer and write down and send around to the group if we want to kind of keep a list of ideas. There was only one other thing because I haven't yet met with Bethel Land Trust, but Krista did mention that they are grouping together with schools to try to help bring it into the education. I don't know exactly what they're doing with schools. That's all she just mentioned, which I thought was interesting. I don't know if that would fall into education probably, depending on what they're
we
doing.
follow youth engagement, but also the pollinator, they also do something with the Garden Club and BLT. There's a pollinator pathway at one of the, I can't remember if it was the middle school or I can't remember one of them. They do something with them every year, and I don't remember which school it is.
Hopefully I can find out more when I meet up with them.
Excuse me?
Hopefully I can find out more when I meet up with them.
Yeah, and it's hard to get a hold of BLT, but when you do, they were here one time, so, hopefully that happens soon.
We have an ex-Bethel Land Trust person.
We need the new ones though, Peter. You're on to the library.
Well, that's true. Actually, I was supposed to go back as a director,
I
but when
know.
this came along,
I know,
decided,
we're cooler, we're better, yeah, okay.
no, I know nothing like that, but
Katie, what else?
Nothing else.
Oh, great job, thank you, it's awesome. Peter?
okay, I'm trying to be very brief, which
Oh,
you know is
please.
hard for me.
No, I know,
Okay.
you're like my dad, it was like
I
a
know,
trial
well, I
attorney.
was a lawyer
He just-
once, so I hate
Go
to
ahead,
admit
go
that.
ahead, go ahead. You're up.
I met with, I'm zeroing in on cultural events coming here and more preschool activities, because I think that's very important for kids who don't go to fancy preschool programs. I was supposed to meet with the director of the Bethel Library and the second in command, Tom Borashevitz, a young man who impresses me, extremely energetic, very bright guy. Megan Dean, for some reason, couldn't make the meeting. She sent me an apologetic email, and I said we'll meet at some point. Tom and I met for about 90 minutes. Most of it was me telling him what the commission's all about and how I would like to maybe use is the wrong word, but partner with the Bethel Library. They do have, for example, a performance space, a public space. It's about 74 people on the first floor. And they mentioned that they're having an art exhibit that's coming in April. They gave me the name of that contact who's organizing all that. I've got that name and a couple of other names of people they've worked with in the cultural area and so forth. I would like to see us start to get some cultural events coming in. The Bethel Library apparently does not want to charge for anything. Okay, which leads me, and I ran this by Peter Shankman, to maybe the Bethel School Music Department, some really good students who, for no money, would be thrilled to give a recital, let's say a singer and a pianist or something. And you've got the built-in audience. You've got the parents, the aunts, the uncles, the neighbors, the friends from school who will come, and I think we could fill up 75 seats and start to test the waters of interest in Bethel and more serious musical events. I also know for example, the musical director and organizer of the Connecticut Choral Society. And they've done a number of events in other towns such as Richfield and Litchfield and so forth. I'd like to, for example, approach maybe the Methodist Church, beautiful facility. And I don't know how the finances would work, but let us say at Christmas time or Easter time, bring in the Connecticut Choral Society. I think there would be a lot of interest in that. Doing something like Handel's Messiah or Bach's Mass in B minor. You may not know all that.
Well, I know, I actually, yeah, okay.
Oh, good, I'm
I
glad.
know, I know more than I look.
Okay, no, I didn't mean it that way, I'm
I
sorry.
don't, no, I don't
apologize.
take it, no,
This
no,
is
it's all-
the old kind of snobbish Peter. You know what a snob is? Someone who has nothing to be snobbish
Yeah, I heard
about.
about that, but what I wanted to say, let me get back to the library,
Okay.
which I think is really important, because libraries have become like the community centers.
And our library,
You know?
Dan, I forgot when we talked down, when we met in the,
The town clerk's office.
yes, right, I remember our conversation.
Yeah.
I don't remember how long you've been here, but the library was really run down when I moved here. I mean, it was pretty seedy, and they had apparently a very successful fundraising drive. And now the library is really quite an impressive facility. So, you know, I think it's kind of a shining star in the town, and the more we use it for.
I agree with you. Like I said, the libraries around the country, right, in the state around the country, are becoming the community centers for
Yes.
the communities. Because we have, our world is more digital, and here you have this space where people would gather. So I like that idea. I like your idea about the Chorale Society, and I've been to their, or we call it musical society. I've been to their performances, and they're really great.
Yeah, they're good.
So if there's a way that you can work with the library and the education.
Well, the library can't handle that. That's too big an ensemble for the
Well,
library.
unless they have smaller ensemble, because sometimes they do.
Well, we could look into that, certainly.
I'm just,
Yeah.
again,
No,
this
good
is not, this
suggestion.
is not etched in stone, but your ideas are really good.
Yeah.
So that could be a possibility.
I thought the
and-
churches,
The churches are from, but what I wanna say
Yeah.
is that then you brought up the idea of having children also, or the Board of Education, the students involved. That's a great idea too. And you could also do something, not only the performance, but the art exhibits all at the same time. So there's a way to, you know,
Yes.
use the library for these type of events around, it doesn't necessarily have to be around the holidays, and I'm only saying that because there's a billion things going on around the holidays.
right.
It could be
No,
like an off-season.
sure, I
I'm just
agree.
but anyway, those are really good ideas, and
I like to start small because I
Start
want
small.
to be successful.
yes, I agree.
Because I remember the time that I forgot who was our congresswoman before Joanna Hayes. It was another very nice.
Bestie.
Yes, and when I was on the land trust, I said, Dan knows about these things. You gotta be careful how you organize an event, because you want it to be a successful event. And so they said, Peter, you handle it, you contact the office, you'll chair the meeting, you'll give the speech, you'll do everything. Everything was perfect, except it was a beautiful May Day. Not May Day, but May Day, and nobody came. And I'm standing up there saying, thank you all for coming. Here is our congresswoman. And, you know, I'm looking at a bunch of empty seats, and it was, you know,
I just wanna say something, that I get that, but political events versus an art.
No,
may
it
be a little
wasn't,
different.
by the way, it wasn't a political
Oh, okay.
event. It wasn't a political, any more than when Dan was in the legislature. Dan coming to speak is not a political event. He serves the entire
It's
town.
very common to have your
Yeah.
elected representatives come.
Okay.
This wasn't a rally, this was for the people of,
Okay.
if it was a Republican, I would have invited a Republican.
But anyway, so I think all of these are really good ideas, and I think it's something that's sustainable Bethel. That's something we can definitely support and advocate for, and it's, you know, I think what you're doing is great in bringing those groups together. And
Well, let's see
I
how it
would
goes.
definitely, if it's something that you're comfortable talking to the Chorale Society, maybe they have smaller venues, but smaller ensembles, so I think we.
And there are other
definitely
groups,
should
there's so many theater groups, there are so many small groups in Connecticut that I'm
do it. I
learning.
would've done.
And you know how I learned this? I used to do a program on MNR, the local station. And there's a guy who works there who does an interview show every Sunday night, and he brings in cultural people. I've never heard of half these groups, but there are loads of local theater groups, local artists, local photographers for a photography show, or maybe a photography show of Bethel. We have resources that I wasn't aware of, you may have been aware, but there's so many groups and theaters and whatever, I think I've stated that enough.
Okay.
So I mean, we might as well take advantage of it. Now, when it comes to charging, that's tricky, because like Bethel Library does not want to charge for
I
anything.
don't think.
But if you're gonna ask some actors to come in and do a reading or something, they may expect to get paid. So I don't know how we handle that part, sell tickets. And I don't know how the town feels, and we have to all coordinate that.
I think go for now, the starting small concept that you have.
And free.
Free, I think that's.
Yeah, but I don't think Bethel Choral Society is free.
Okay, so then there might be
Yeah,
some
yeah.
other way to do stuff.
I could be wrong, by the way. I
Yeah,
never.
but again, maybe it's not them. Maybe like you mentioned, the Board of Ed, there's kids that are, maybe this is
Oh,
an opportunity for
definitely
them.
there. The music, every music department, Newtown has a great music department, I know. And I
So does
think Bethel
Bethel.
does
No,
too.
Bethel has a fabulous.
So that
musical
means
department.
that some very talented kids, they're kids to
I
me.
think the idea is just to get something going at the library, like you said.
Right.
It doesn't have to be
Doesn't have-
named
it
anything.
doesn't
It
have
can
to be-
just- So I think that's a good idea. So if you can continue, that'd
I'm
be
gonna
awesome.
continue that.
Thank you. You should talk about all these great EV things and, climate things that you do
The
all
town
over the
doesn't
world.
wanna do anything.
Who doesn't wanna do
The
anything?
town.
Talk to me, Goose.
Oh my God, what are you talking about?
So
He's
we're on-
all
we're-
this awesome
Peter,
stuff, he really
Peter,
does.
we're under new management.
I
And he
get
really
that.
does, he does
Um,
awesome stuff.
I ran New York City's fleet. I have made multiple offers over the years to analyze all 100 vehicles. Why this town has 100 vehicles is bizarre to me. Why we keep, coincidentally, I made a comment about the 86 truck that sits at the landfill, saying that thing is long past.
Yeah.
Why do we still have it? And coincidentally, it moved the next week. The guy I can't remember his name, the guy who's running Public Works, we know a lot of folks who used to work, do some work with city DOT.
Eric.
It was an offer that, first of all, I put out to bid. I got my buddy who used to run the Cincinnati fleet to bid on it. It was 10 grand. It was too expensive. This was 2017, maybe? I said, you know what, Matt, do it myself. I'll donate it to the town, and I wasn't allowed to donate the services. I said, well, then pay me $1 and make it
Yeah.
legal. Still couldn't do it. Then I got approval to do it when I couldn't do it anymore.
Yeah.
And I've spoken to Eric, I've explained, he understands the basic concept, but I sit on the fire commission, which is the largest piece of capital expense the town buys. We don't know what happens to it after we buy it. We're gonna keep it 22 years. And I tried to explain, listen, before you even buy it, you've gotta know when you're getting rid of it, because you've gotta optimize maximum money, because there's a whole secondary and tertiary market for apparatus around the country. Know what you can get for it before you buy it, and then you turn that profit back into buying the next truck, and fleet becomes sustainable.
But you also
Why
want-
is every police car in this town an SUV? Because we get snow.
Not this year, but anyway, do you wanna talk about,
We'll talk.
Actually, it used to be one SUV.
do you wanna talk about, the electrifying the police fleet? And, well, I'm not done, I got one more thing for you. EV charger plan, right? That's kind of like a parking management plan, I mean, that is your thing too.
Well,
So-
it's too late for the school buses, right, Peter?
No,
No,
it's never too late.
Well, I
I
thought they
could get,
just
I
ordered them.
could get a school bus donated electric for a trial, just for some, green media.
Well, didn't they just order a whole bunch of new ones?
I don't know what we order. We don't order them.
I think
First
the town
Transit
First
does.
Transit that does
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, we have a separate company.
It's franchise.
Oh,
First
so
Transit's
so
one of
we
the
pay
worst
first chance, friends.
companies
But
in the
anyway,
world.
I just wanna,
But so-
because that's your thing, you're
Right,
just, right,
so-
okay.
I had offered, at one point, I had access to an electric shuttle bus. And I still believe that if all of the businesses in town ponied up enough money, call it 75 grand, to drive one of these little electrified, cool trolley cars around. It's just a circulator. It's paid for by the advertising, by all the local businesses, because when you get out of the train, what do? If I can wait 10 minutes, it's gonna loop around, take me downtown. I was gonna give it to the town for 6 months just as a trial. I still think, as we talk about this great idea of cleaning out the bus company and everything else between here and the train station, the idea of having a circulator that just runs around, it's free. I know I heard issues, it's gonna affect Hart, but we don't even participate in Hart, or at least previous administration did it. But we've got these diesel buses, brand new diesel buses at $375,000 a piece, just running around empty. Our buses are too big, they're dirty, we need to right-size our transportation in and around.
So a little bit of information for you. The state put out a bid for microtransit pilots throughout the state. And so what they're looking for is for the districts. There are 15 transit districts in the state of Connecticut. Okay, and looking for the districts, for instance, Norwalk has a microtransit. Danbury has an on-demand, and I think Estuary has an on-demand, and looking for them not to just do like the entertainment or the first and last mile, because they're already doing that, but to actually go out and do on-demand in those areas, those neighborhoods that are underserved. So there's
Connecticut's finally
There-
coming
and
into the 21st
yes,
century.
I've sat in a meeting today for 2 hours related to that, and yeah, it's a big deal. So, well, they have a new commissioner, right? So that's kind of where he's at, and his head to do that. So that's due at the end of April. So I don't know if Hart is part of I can't remember if Hart is part of CT Transit or they're a district. Are they a district? So they're a district.
CT Transit's the state agency.
No, I know that, but
yeah.
I don't know if Hart is like a district, so maybe.
Yeah, it's a regional authority.
But anyway, the on-demand transportation component of the transit service system, it's a big deal now with the state, it's a big deal in the federal government.
So the problem with public transit in America is it's considered for poor people.
Well, but I
And it
think,
only goes up and down. And you're right, the micro transit is what feeds the main lines. It's like a body. You run blood through one and then you need the capillaries to feed it. We have no way to get to the buses in Bethel unless you live.
that's why on-demand would be and your circulator is a great idea, that's all that.
Right. Happening across Canada,
Yep.
happening
Well, it's
across
happening
California
in a
and
lot of
across
places.
Europe.
Yep.
And the fact that we look like Europe here in Bethel, that it's a chance to do something, and to your other point, nothing scarier than realizing people with EVs don't come to Bethel for lunch or dinner because there's no chargers.
Oh, there's 2 in the entire town.
Yeah, right.
No, we were already.
No, I found out.
No, you found 2 more.
I found 2 more
Oh.
2 more at the railroad station.
at the railroad
Oh, that's right,
station,
I thought they were-
because that's absolutely
The
useless.
question
The new
is,
and the old railroad.
Right, good
People
for
park
me.
and leave their car there, which shouldn't be allowed
Right.
when they go to.
No,
work.
then that goes into a
Yeah.
parking management plan
Right.
related to EVs, so yeah,
Yeah.
that all has to happen,
But,
Well, let's, I mean, honestly, Madam Chair, if it's okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Obviously, I'm very interested in talking about that. I'm aware of that. The microtransit you're speaking of, having a circulator could be a part of that. I'm not sure what we would have to do with Hart Transit, if we'd have to partner with them, because my understanding is it has to be done with somebody who's already certified to do transit. So
we're not
that-
doing transit.
Well, what I'm saying
Yeah,
is
yeah.
that.
There are, every town in California's figured out a way to
Understand.
get out of
So
Well, what
California.
I'm saying is I'm very
Yeah.
open-minded to figuring out a way for these things.
Right.
You have a definition of transit that doesn't include this?
Doesn't,
I'm curious what you just said. You're not doing transit.
what do you mean?
Didn't you just say that?
We're not doing transit now.
No,
Oh,
Bethel
the town.
doesn't do,
Right.
well, Bethel,
No,
it's Hart,
Yeah.
it's
You,
Hart.
you meant we're not doing transfer, meaning the town is.
Yes.
Right.
Yes,
Right,
we
okay.
would, I'm just thinking from what I've heard, we would have to find a way to partner with Hart, but also have our own control to do something like that, which I think is a great idea.
So the way I mean, I come out of New York City government,
Yeah.
we know how to play with the rules, you create a pilot.
Yeah.
For your
But
6 months,
Stays
could
doing-
just be for the summer.
Yeah.
And collect the data, then
And
you
we
go
could get
in,
grants for that.
and then you go have the conversation with Hart, say, listen, you can operate it, but we're fine getting the two Peters, the old men, to drive around
Well,
town 2
between,
days a
Oh,
week,
yeah,
cause
we'll
he'll
dress you
talk
up.
to everyone.
between Dan's experience in the legislature and your experience with all these governments, we should have a lot of expertise there, how you get these things done. Because the legislature, again, you're gonna say it's politics,
Right.
but the legislature is, you know, really important.
And Madam Chair, when it comes to these sort of things, they're somewhat apolitical, because these are things we're doing
Right.
together, and Democrats, Republicans, everybody.
Nobody's gonna say, I'm against, you
No,
know,
everybody
old
wants to be
people,
part of it.
older people getting transportation.
So obviously, we can follow up on this.
I think this
really,
is, yeah,
thank
no,
you.
that's why I wanted Peter to say, because this is like
Yeah.
his thing, he's really good at it, and.
I was the one with the little red card that said hello.
I remember reading it, yeah.
So,
I've got that little red card on my desk too, so.
it's a Bethel business.
That's smart,
Okay.
red, it just stands out.
Well, it just says hello. Peter Schenker.
Is there a phone number?
Yeah, of course there
Well,
is.
I've never seen your card.
Oh, I don't have.
I have one.
No, I only have my
Oh,
bike.
never
he
mind,
gave
you
me-
can give it
oh.
to me next time.
Yeah.
Okay, so we do have a little bit of to-dos, and some are longer term, some require a lot of conversation and partnership. But some, like the initiatives that Katie's working on, I think those are things that we can,
It's low hanging fruit.
those are
stuff,
low
yeah.
hanging fruit that are really important. What we also need, and I know, Dan, you and I talked about this, is a better communication to not only internally, but
Right.
just for everybody to know what everybody does, what the town is doing,
Right.
what we're doing, and we can help with that.
Sure.
You know, because I'm like addicted to, not addicted, I'm connected to social media and everything else, like I'm.
You don't have to tell us about your addictions.
Yeah, but my social media addiction, right, not in a bad way. So I think most of us know how to use that, but we wanna make sure that we're all, you know, working together to get all of that done, and the message is consistent, right? So I think this is really good. I think what we wanna do next time, I think everybody continues to do what they're doing and meeting and all that kind of stuff. Maybe you and I should talk a little more about all of this, and then we can, you know, talk with Dan. Next time, I would like to talk about what you all want to do related to the certification, whether you wanna pursue it or you wanna do these individual type of projects, because the way I look at this
I
condition.
think we're there already.
No, I think we've already
Yeah.
had it, it's a matter of pulling it all together.
Yeah.
So maybe the
Let the
fellows,
fellows
when
can
we
do
get
it,
those
yeah.
fellows, but anyway, I still wanna have that conversation, so we're all on the same page. And-
Madam Chair, may I add something?
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
I think with respect to certification, to Peter's point, Peter number 2.
I know his name is
Anyway,
hysterical,
to
right?
your
Well,
point-
I'm number one because I'm older.
There you go. So I do think that there's a good chance we're there at bronze. I think I would highly encourage the commission to consider going to the next level, and here's why. I think what the certification process may give us is a little bit of a roadmap and a direction to what projects we're picking, right? Because remember, in the first one, you have to pick one of each of the
Yep.
12, the second you have to pick the next 12. So that might actually hone you in on some of those projects that you wanna like kind of click off.
Yep.
And, you know, then you can start thinking of who you wanna involve, like earlier when we were talking with Katie, I would say, Earth Day, get the scouts.
Yeah.
The scouts have merit badge requirements,
Yeah,
they
yeah.
have, like, but now you know, well, you can get each one of those little things in each category, it'll give you a little bit of a roadmap, and then it gives you something to measure yourselves by too. Like, because the certification can be a goal, but if anything else, it just helps you guys kind of
It's a
focus on
roadmap.
it. So I would,
Even if we don't get certified.
it gives you a roadmap to get there.
Right.
Right?
The only problem is
Yeah.
that we are having trouble keeping our troops. And our resources are gonna be strained.
Sure. So that's something we're, you know, obviously we can talk about, like what we need to do to encourage people to join. And if there's something we can do to help the board be more successful, or the commission rather, because this is a unique.
The joining, Dan, doesn't seem to be the problem.
Staying.
Right, we lost.
Well, you know,
Yeah, well, I think that's why, from my perspective, having the certification as a goal automatically gives you a strategic plan. By nature of looking at that, it gives you kind of a plan as a group to say, okay, we're gonna go boom, 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 and then maybe people can be engaged and you're all like going one direction. I haven't been here to know what's happening with Sustainable Bethel. So I don't know, I can see that as something, maybe this is the opportunity it takes now to get people on board and say, okay, here's our goal, here's where we're going. I
How
don't,
long have we existed?
couple years.
May,
No.
no, we did, our
I thought
first
you
meeting
went
was
longer.
the
So
end,
yes,
2018, it was
Oh, this is
created.
great, okay.
No, it was created in 2018, but it was staff driven, and then everybody realized that, you know, there's not a lot of staff. So then it was
Yeah.
reformed and reformatted into this working volunteer commission. We did not meet
Okay.
until the end of May.
So this was not a
right,
commission then?
so
this was-
Bill,
It was
Bill
the-
Pratty
Last week of May.
Okay.
Yeah.
ran
No,
the,
Was it
ran
last
the.
week? No, it was the first week of May.
Okay,
Yeah,
Oh,
ran
okay,
it
okay.
before, and there were 5 of us,
It
and
was called the
Yeah.
Energy Commission. It was-
Energy Commission.
Yeah, so, yes.
the predecessor to this, and
Right.
we were just cranking projects out.
sure,
We did all of the schools, we did the landfill, solar, all of that. That may be too old, but it's rolling.
Sure.
So we could get that. We've done all of the energy surveys at all of the town buildings, set up digital thermostats, lighting, had Eversource manage a whole program. So we've been involved, and now it's become a commission.
Yeah.
And now we're trying to
Yeah. Well, it's
get
also
into first
expanded.
gear.
I
Yeah,
mean, expanded, because remember,
Like triple
sustainable
the
is
size.
no longer just electric.
Well, that's.
Right.
It's
Well, see,
everything.
That's
call
what
it energy
people get
underneath.
confused.
and
because-
that's where I think we struggled in the first week,
Sure.
first months of just everyone has an idea of what sustainability is. Me, if it doesn't have wheels, I don't care.
Right.
Well, that's a good point, like this certification could give you guys a roadmap
Yes,
to start thinking about each one of those things you wanna knock off.
absolutely.
And then you're taking your talents and by the way, maybe we recruit.
It's always good to have a plan.
It's gonna have a plan.
Except that what Mike Tyson said.
I
You know, he
don't
said
want you guys biting off any ears over there.
everybody has a plan until they get hit.
Yes, that's true, that's true.
I'm thinking of the guy on the airplane who taunted him a couple of months ago, and he just leaned over and wailed 3 times.
Who did?
Right.
Mike Tyson.
A boxer's fists are lethal weapons. You can go to
Yeah,
jail
but this
for a
guy was
long-
on video taunting.
It doesn't matter. He can go, it's like a gun if you're a
Sure.
professional.
Right, and what does Mike Tyson say? Been there, done that.
So honestly, Madam Chair, I think you
Yeah.
should add that to your agenda next time.
Yeah, which, well,
Commissioners
Yep.
do that.
I think I sent you the
Yeah.
roadmap or the strategic plan that we started, so that's a very
Yeah.
good idea, and thought. So we will, put that on the agenda for next time, is to talk about where we're at with our strategic plan, our roadmap to get there. And the equity toolkit is really then what we should work on first, because that is a requirement of the certification.
Hey, do we have a sister city? Sister town?
I don't believe Bethel does, I've not heard of it.
Let's go get one. I'll be in England next week.
What's a
I'll go
sister
find
city?
a nice little
Somewhere in
village.
Europe?
Let's do that.
Usually a sister city is where you pick a city in another country,
I see.
Yeah.
and you kind of like, share culture, you have
Oh.
people travel back and forth. It's usually you have a sister city group here, they have a sister city
Yep.
group there, and the group kind of does the same.
Yeah, they send delegates back, but the reason it makes sense, just England is, this is England. Traveling through the countryside,
Called New
it
England.
is the same.
I bet you there's a Bethel, England.
There is.
There's a Bethel,
There is.
everything. I think
I'm
might be a
actually
Bethel in all
staying
50
in
states.
Bethnal Green.
I know there's a Bethel, Ohio.
There's a Bethel in every
Pretty
state.
much every, maybe not Hawaii and Alaska. I don't know. Hawaii, maybe not.
But you look up Bethel, Connecticut, it comes up Bethel, Alaska, actually.
Does it?
Yeah, they have a better search engine optimization.
I'm working on that too.
So is there anything, I think we have a plan, and
Okay.
lot's been done in the last month with a few of us, so that's really good. Hopefully we can get some more bodies here soon to help. If there's nothing else,
Yeah.
do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second,
Second,
all in favor? Yes.
Aye.
dinner.
Aye.
Outstanding.
Good night, Katie, thank you.
Good night.
My pleasure. I started a little bit late, but
Yeah, that's okay.
I saw the presentation was on there. so-
Yeah.
I knew I already
You
saw it.
saw it, yeah.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
And congratulations.
Thank you. So your next meeting is 16th?
15th of next month, yeah, Tuesday, Wednesday,